I stepped into the role of Senior VP of Inclusive Innovation and Consumer Experience for L'Oreal North America. However, the truth is, it's much bigger than that. It's a homecoming for me. I'm back. I'm back closer to home. I'm closer to family and friends and family, as I like to call them. And most importantly, I'm back closer to the version of myself where all of this started for me. So, before I tell you where I'm going, I would love to tell you where I started. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida, in Truman apartments, which were subsidized housing, also known as the projects, for lower income families. I grew up with a teenage mother who, at the same time, was raising herself as well as raising two little bright girls. I grew up with a dear godmother, Miss Erma, or Erma as we called her, and she really was like a second mother to me. She was my angel in this lifetime, and responsible for a lot of the stability we had as little girls growing up. I also grew up on the back pew of my church. And this back pew because my godmother was an usher, and we did a lot of ushering and as well, and we sat on the back pew, and it's just where we grew up, always sitting on the back pew. And on this back pew is where I gained a personal relationship with God, deepened my faith, and learned the value of service. And how important that is, and how it's required of me and of others. I also developed a bit of an open-mindedness under the guidance and stability of my godmother, open-mindedness to different religions, different cultures, different ways of thinking, something that I've carried throughout my life. I also grew up watching my mother study and seeing lots of anatomy books and science books laying around. I grew up seeing pages and pages of numbers and math and columns of calculations that she was doing. And I think those calculations were trying to figure out how to make ends meet with what she had. And these were all the start of a scientific mind that I was developing before I even knew it, before I even knew that that would be the field that I would go into later in my life. And I credit my mother for being very smart, very bold, very good at recognizing patterns. And it's something she taught me and passed on in many ways. And in many ways, I've capitalized on those skills in ways that she couldn't or did not. So when I left Pensacola, my journey took me to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, FAMU, where I earned a chemical engineering degree. My first company I started with was Procter & Gamble. Then I went to British American Tobacco, BAT. I've had multiple international assignments that also took me to Paris, where I worked for L'Oreal in Paris and still work for L'Oreal now in New York. And along the way, I've been building brands and products and innovations on a global scale. And in a nutshell, essentially, I've worked in 4 countries, 3 continents, 3 companies, and every step of the way across these 25 plus years has taught me something I didn't necessarily know that I needed it yet. If you ask me how I got from a back pew in Pensacola to boardrooms and corporate decision-making rooms in Paris, England, and beyond, I would tell you it wasn't luck. It was a framework I lived by before I ever named it. I call it build. B for Boldness First, U for Unbothered, I for iron sharpens iron, L for light, walk in it, D for date yourself. I'm writing a book about it, Boldness First, from Pensacola to Paris to purpose. And this channel is where I'll be unpacking it piece by piece. Part of coming back means having more capacity to give back. That's why I co-founded Waka Social Foundation, a nonprofit focused on closing the AI and digital skills gap for learners in Africa and beyond. And you'll hear a lot more about that here too. So this channel is where I'll bring it all together. Leadership, innovation, the book, my foundation, Waka Social Foundation, how I lead, conversations that shape how I lead. And if any part of this resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe. There's a lot more coming, and if you want it in your inbox too, Boldness Notes launches soon as well.